eraser who is in a movie that is the first of its kind for Disney to be completely in stop motion animation. That's pretty cool. This guy is the Pumpkin King. He's super awesome. Probably the coolest skeleton I think I've ever seen. And anyone guess which character I'm talking about? Jack Skelington. Oh, very good. I love that. Nice and loud answer. I like that. Okay, yeah. So this is the exact, this is the example that you guys are going to want to keep throughout the entire class. If I have a question at all, answer it nice and loud, just like that dude right there in the center, and we'll be good to go. All right, so now we're going to sketch Jack Skelington. Now, as you're picking up your pencils, I want you to tell me what we're missing. Wow, I think I shocked everybody for just a second. Like, the response was a little late. Yeah, we are missing erasers, and I promise you everything will be okay. I don't have one either, and that's because here we do what's called a rough sketch. In sketching, you actually don't have a use for an eraser. The whole point is because you want to build your shapes. You'll use your entire arm so that you're not restricting your movement, and like put like no pressure on that page at all, right? Keep it very, very light. I promise you as we continue throughout the process, I'll tell you which lines we're going to darken in. So by the end of this class, we'll have a really cool looking sketch of Jack Skelington. Sound good? Yeah. Yeah? Most of you are like, no, I need my eraser and maybe a pretzel and some Starbucks. I understand completely. Alright, so on our page about the size of a baseball, go ahead and lightly sketch out this circle. Now, as you're sketching this out, a couple things. Don't focus on making it perfect. This is a rough sketch after all. It's meant to be messy and look super cool, alright? So keep this nice and sketchy. Just go over and over again on your shape using a lot of these light lines. Once we have this circle on our page, we can start to add in some guidelines that are going to help us anchor down his facial features. I'm going to start off with a curved letter C here that's going to wrap around the surface of our flat circle. Right now this is really flat, we have no shape to it. I'm going to start adding in a little bit of shape by adding in these lines here. So the backwards are actually a big stretched out letter C shape. I know, it's exciting. I know. Alright, so we have this crescent moon in the inside here, that's what we're looking for. I'm going to add in one more line from left to right. This will be more of a stretched out letter U. So it should start to look like a beach ball sitting on your page. Alright, that's our foundation. We're not going to do anything with this just yet. We're going to keep it like this, nice and blank. We need to add in the rest of his portrait. He, of course, has a really cool bow tie that we need to add in. Can you tell me what animal that is? That's on the bow tie? A bat, exactly. Alright, so first we're going to add in the neck that bow tie is sitting on the bottom of. He has a very, very skinny neck. It's just two diagonal lines here that create a skinny number 11. Right at the bottom of our circle, about where our vertical line meets the edge of that circle there. At the end of the neck, we're going to start with the head of the bat bow tie. It's just going to be a rainbow shape for the top. And then we're going to add in two more curved lines to create a point right in the center. The shape almost looks like a shield or an upside down candy corn. It's kind of the shape we're going for. Now bats, of course, have their ears, and these are two upside down letter V's, very long letter V's on either side. Nice pointy ears there. And even though he is a friendly guy, we're still going to see some sharp edges on his bat bow tie and stuff because he is from Halloween Town, so it's very creepy, a very creepy place. So this is kind of adding to that creepy factor. Alright, now we need to add in eyes next, and if you want, you can add in tiny little blades of grass or rice, or you can add in some really kooky looking shapes. Like you can have one eye bigger and one eye smaller if you want. Make it look super silly. And then if you want, just go back and you can lock this entire bat's head in just by darkening your favorite lines. This will be the very first thing that we start to lock in here. Now, as for the rest of this bow tie, his wings take up the majority of it, this bat's wings here. And we're going to start off with 3 flicks of our pencil that almost resemble cat whiskers. So it's very long flicks of your pencil. They're going to be a little bit longer than the edge of his head here. So you want these guys to be nice and long and just kind of hang out on either side here. 1, 2, and 3. Right now he's looking like a bat spider. So the best way to fix that, add in the webbing. So we're going to add in some C-shaped curves in between these lines here. And you can make them super long if you want, or you can have them going all the way in towards the bat, which will make him look super creepy, come to points. Or if you want, you can have them just hanging out towards the close edge here. Just give that web effect. It's really up to you. This is your very own sketch of Jack, so you can get really creative with this guy. Alright, once you have those shapes in place, make sure you go back and you're starting to lock in these lines. So this looks like one entire line here, one entire shape for this bat bow tie. Really get those creative shapes in there. Now this movie is majority of monochromatic shades, so I'm talking grays, blacks, whites. Occasionally you get your color in there, but it's very rare, unless when you went to the Christmas towns where you see most of the color. But for the majority of the movie, it is all black, white, and gray. So we're going to use the side of our pencil here to start to add in some of that contrast. I'm going to shade in this bow tie just a little bit. You'll notice that as I'm shading this, I'm not really trying to get it in every tiny little crevice here. I'm just kind of going about the entire thing and just getting a little bit of shading in there. That's going to add to this messy sketch look that we're going for. Really not about perfection in this class. It's more about having fun. Which brings me to my next question. Are we having fun? Yeah. Very good. Most important thing about sketching is that you're having fun while you're doing it. Also, at this point, we have reached the halfway mark, so how are we feeling about our artwork so far? Let me see some thumbs up out there if you're feeling pretty confident about your artwork. Excellent. All right, for the most part, halfway. You know, well, if you think about it, that's actually quite fitting because we are only halfway. We don't really have anything to make him look like him just yet. Really? Are you having fun, though? Yeah, then you're doing everything right, even though you feel like your artwork isn't that great. But keep in mind, too, is that as artists, we're always our worst critics, so what we think might look bad may not be bad at all to anyone else, all right? Keep that in mind. All right, now we got this bat bow tie in place. We're going to move on up and we're going to add in the features for this guy's face, because right now he's looking a little weird. It just looks like a tennis ball on top of a neck and a bat bow tie. So let's go ahead and add in the feature, which is where he gets all of his expression from, would be what feature? His eyes. Yes, I heard it from one person, exactly. His eyes, but for Jack Skelington, he has the lack thereof. So he's got some big eye sockets, nice and hollow, all right? We're gonna get these ovals sitting right on top of our horizontal guidelines. Each one's gonna sit on the other side of our vertical construction line right here. We need to find out how tall all these eyes are gonna be though, because we have the base. As far as the height, I'm gonna go up to the top, near the top of my circle. On either side, I'm gonna give myself a mark. That's how high I want those eyes to be. Now we're going to start with the eye that we don't have in complete view, because right now this guy's turned a little bit. He's turned at a 3/4 angle. So we're getting this whole side of his face in full view, and this one's a little narrow. So what I'm going to do is follow the side of my circle here to get part of this oval for one eye. I'm going to hop onto the other side, add in the other part of that oval, and then just wrap around and start to carve out my shape. You'll notice it's a little bit more narrow, not a lot of space on the inside of this oval. We'll get more space when we move on over to the other side here. So I'm going to start to add in the side of this oval on this side. But the only difference here, because we have this in full view, means we're going to get a little bit more space in between that eye socket. So I'm giving him a little bit more space in there and closing off the bottom. So once you have those in place, you want to make sure you lock those in with a nice dark line. If you're doing something else here, of course, eye sockets being hollow have a lot of shading in there. So we're going to use the point of our pencil and really make this the darkest part of our sketch. I'm just going all the way throughout these eye sockets and completely darken these in with a nice dark shade of gray here. Now, as you're doing this, you're also creating what we call a focal point, which means that this is going to be the darkest thing on your feature, so it's the very first thing that your eyes will look at, or anybody that looks at your sketch. They'll go right to those eye sockets. Now, I know we have a lot of fans of Jack Skelington out there. Can anyone tell me who voiced Jack? Crickets. Nothing but crickets. There's two voices. Yes, sir. Do you know them both?
I believe Danny Elfman actually sang.
You're absolutely correct. Danny Elfman did sing for Jack Skelington, but he didn't think his talking voice was all that appropriate. Go ahead, shout it out.
I want to say it's Chris Sarandon.
Exactly. Wow, we do have some fans out here. Chris Sarandon was the speaking voice for Jack Skelington, and then the singing voice was Danny Elfman. So it took two guys to really bring this skeleton to life here. All right, so yeah, now we got his eyes completely darkened, and we're going to move on and add in the two last features for his face. We have his nose, which is probably going to be the easiest part of this sketch. Watch. Very easy. Ready? Right where both of our construction lines meet in the center. Done. That's all it was. Just two little lines there for his nose. All right. Now we can move on and we can add in the feature that really makes him who he is. What are we missing? His smile. Yeah, he's got that nice, big, creepy smile. It goes from ear to ear. It's going to be a very stretched out letter U that's going to take up the whole lower half of our circle here. I'm going to start over on the edge and very lightly start to add in this stretched out letter U. I'm going to bring this all the way over to my horizontal guideline, and that's where I'm going to stop. Now, at the very top of this smile, if you want, you can add in a smile line, which would just be a tiny little rainbow sitting up at the top, or you can add in a swirl, which is what I'm going to do. You find a lot of these shapes in Tim Burton's films. He's got these nice swirls and these really creepy looking shapes. And the reality is a lot of the designers for the creatures and the backgrounds for this movie were asked to use their non-dominant drawing hand. So if you're right-handed, they were asked to use their left hand to kind of create some of these really weird looking shapes. That's why you get a lot of those cool swirls in there and stuff. So once you have the smile in place, you're going to want to make sure you go back and lock it in, because then we need to add in those teeth. His teeth are constantly showing, which are just a bunch of these really short hash marks that go all the way throughout his entire face here. Just bringing these all the way throughout that whole smile. Once you have that in place, you're going to want to go back, and we're going to start to lock in the rest of his head here. Right now that's kind of lightening up just a little bit. I'm going to go back and just find my favorite line. And it's okay if your circle is not perfect, because he is a skeleton, so his skull is not exactly perfect either. Ours have a lot of bumps and grooves all the way throughout our entire skull, so it's just going to be a little bit more accurate if it's not a perfect circle. Once you have that in place, go back throughout your entire sketch, see if there are any other lines that may have faded away in the process. You can even add in a little shading here just below his neck. Just add a little bit more light there. Darken anything else that you think might have faded away so that we have our one and only step left for our artwork. As artists, what are we missing? Your signature, exactly. So find a blank spot next to this really creepy looking skeleton and sign your name. There you are, your very own portrait of Mr. Jack Skelington, the Pumpkin King. All right, how did we do in the end? Good, better? Yeah, excellent. All right, well, for the most part, I heard a lot of silence, which is normally what I just take as you being so shocked at how amazing your artwork is that you're speechless. That's completely all right. So I want to see all of these since there's so much silence. I'm amazed. I'm actually surprised because I think all these are going to be really good. Down here, I'm seeing some of these and they're looking pretty awesome. All right, so on the count of 3, what you're going to want to do is lift up those boards very high and show off your masterpiece. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Jack Skelington. Very nice. Adding the whole body. Wow, that's awesome. Over here, very good. I'm liking the shading on those bat bow ties. Nice dark eyes. That's one thing I'm noticing. Very nice Jackson Pollock replica there. Very good. Over here at the top, very nice. I'm liking that shading. Love those dark eye sockets. Good use of your page too. And these are all super creative.